Hi there, this is Prague Talk, a podcast from Radio Prague International. My name is Ian Willoughby. My guest this time is the Belgian-born developer Serge Borenstein, who has surely had the biggest impact on Prague of any foreigner in the modern era. In fact, in 3.5 decades, Serge has been behind new constructions totalling a remarkable 500,000 square metres in and around the capital. His most notable projects have been in Karlín, a district that he's almost single-handedly transformed with a series of gleaming office buildings. And it was at Serge Borenstein's offices there that we spoke recently for this episode of Prague Talk. You came here around the time of the revolution to do a deal for Belgium, and then you decided to move here to Prague.
Exactly.
What was it that drew you to Prague or made you think, I wouldn't mind even trying to live here?
As you said, I came for business reasons, but the atmosphere in that country on that time was absolutely amazing and unique. And I said, I want to be part of that. And it reminds me also the years, the 60s, when there was those famous the student revolutions in France, in Belgium, in part of Europe, and mainly in France. And I said, okay, let's double the experience.
And you first were in the billboard business, but then you got into real estate.
I first was in the billboard business because you couldn't do real estate in the country. Remember that at the beginning, the governor of Václav Havel organized the restitution. Then there was a privatization as well, and we, the people, developers like me, had to wait the end of those processes. So I started a billboard network that allowed me as well to go and to start to know cities, the country, and I fall in love. I really fall in love. I just fall in love with the country.
How did doing business here compare to working in real estate in Belgium before you came here?
There was a lot of things to create here, which was already done in a lot of countries in Europe. And here I had the possibility to transform some district, like I did with Karlín. That experience was not possible in European capital city, West, because we had like 40, 50 years after the First War we start. So that was the big difference.
You became known as Mr. Karlín for all you did to transform this district where we are right now. What was your first experience of this part of Prague?
I was, as I used to say, at the right place at the right moment. That's all. And I had this opportunity to buy this industrial complex in Karlín. There was a few different factories owned by the same company, and that gave me the space to develop a district like Karlín.
But isn't it the case that you first saw it from the air?
Yeah, I discovered Karlín coming back from Karlovy Vary, and we passed above Prague. Don't know if it was completely even legal. And suddenly I asked the pilot, what is that area close to the center who looks completely industrial and empty? I think he said, oh, there is nothing. It's nothing. It's Karlín. And the day after, I was discovering Karlín, and I said, that's the place I want to develop.
Well, I know you started here in the 90s. Then, of course, in 2002, these catastrophic floods hit Prague. Particularly, this part of the city was underwater. But was that ultimately a kind of blessing for you that the district had a chance to really come back strongly in a new form?
It was definitely a blessing because Karlín was the object of all the attentions from the city during, because it was probably, at least in Prague, the most hit area. And Prague wanted to decide to create a large retention area for the water, indeed to erase Karlín from the map, more or less. of course, they didn't do it. They didn't do it, but it was question about it. So I strongly fought against that, and that also, of course, make me more known from the population because I was really I create a kind of committee defending Karlín with different people and things like that, and fighting for. And finally, we won. We won. And to answer and to finish your question, it was a kind of blessing for me because the day they decide that they won't make a retention area with Karlín, now they decide to invest in that and invest the investment where all the infrastructure of the district were destroyed by the flood, and also a wall, anti-flooding wall.
So the fact that they put in this new flood defense system kind of guaranteed the future safety of this part of the city.
Absolutely. That was a blessing for me. That's the best thing who can happen. And suddenly that area was full of brand new infrastructure. I mean, talking about a sewage system, cabling, and I just had to build new buildings and to find an area close to the centrum and with a fantastic infrastructure.
Of all the buildings that you have constructed in this district, is there one that you're most proud of?
Yes, always the last one. The last one I beat is always the one so I love them all. Of course, probably I'm quite a fan of a building called Corso Karlín, which is a transformation of an old factory into a modern office building, but always we kept more or less all the architecture of that old factory, and we put a brand modern building inside. It was a kind of challenge, architectural challenge, was very difficult to achieve, but the building is there. It's a monument for me.
Also, what you did, which I think is a great gift to the whole of Prague, is you built the complex where the Forum Karlín is, the music venue, which was so needed in Prague, a modern venue of that size.
Yes, and by the way, I'm trying to buy back the building today, but there is a lot of competition, and whoever will buy it will have a fantastic building.
Maybe this question is naive, but I know at one point you owned 60 hectares in Karlín, and you built 250,000 square meters. How come you didn't build more here?
We indeed developed much more than 250,000 square meters. We got permitting for much more, but we couldn't build physically much more because there is 7 days in a week, 30 days in a month. So we decide to sell a part of the permits to other developers, and thanks God we did it, because if we would have to build it by ourselves, it would have taken another 20 years.
Generally speaking, as somebody who has seen very closely and been involved in the transformation of Prague, how do you view how Prague has developed since, say, 1990 with new buildings and developments?
You will be disappointed to hear, but as well, I'm happy from what has been done. I can confirm that much more could have been done. And it's really, I mean, it's sad when I'm traveling quite a lot in Eastern country, in Poland, in Romania, and things like that. And I recommend a lot of Czech to go and see what's happening there, because we are late compared to those guys. We are late, and it's certainly not neither my mistake, neither the mistake of other Czech developers, but mainly of the authorities of Prague and of the country as well.
What do they need to do better than what they're doing now?
Give building permits. Average time to get a building permit is 7 years. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And the last few years, mainly, the politics was it's better not to move too much than to make mistakes in authorizing things like that. So there was simply a lack of enthusiasm, or I would say word for the responsible people of the development. And also it's true for other cities as well.
And you don't see any signs that this is improving? It still stays in this kind of static situation?
I'm going to make a lot of enemies, but, that's a tough life. I don't see that moving now, really.
What do you think are the best buildings that Prague has got since you arrived here? Including yours, perhaps, if you want to speak about those, but the greatest structures constructed here.
I'm a big fan of a developer called Penta. I think the owner is Mr. Dospival. And I think they did really, they care about what they are doing. They use good architects, they have good locations, and I think for me, he's a model to be followed in Prague.
If I could ask you a bit about yourself, I know you sponsor arts events a lot. What's your motivation for doing that?
I'm myself, I think, a kind of artist in what I'm doing, even in business. Maybe I should have been more traditional businessman, but I think I'm an artist. You probably know that I love music. I'm practicing every day guitars, and so I'm naturally attracted by arts. I dance. I've launched a new life of a film producer.
Well, the thing about you starting to learn guitar at the age of 60 that is very inspirational to me. How difficult is it? If I was to start playing guitar now at my age, how difficult is it to go from zero to actually being able to play?
So I will surprise you maybe and then give you hopes. It's not difficult. It's not difficult if you must be regular and you have to be disciplined. That's the secret. And you have to play every day. Not 6 hours Monday and 1 hour on Thursday and nothing during the week. No, you have to play every day, 10, 15 minutes. That's the secret. And if you do that during a year, if you do that during 6 months, you will do that and you will see you progressing.
You mentioned film production. You were one of the producers of the movie Usfit, We Were Never Modern. How was that experience? Will you produce more?
Fantastic. And I was a co-producer. I was not the only one, and far away to be the only one. From that moment, I produced another 2 documentaries. One that I really advise you to see, which is called Docu America. It's a fantastic documentary. Another one that I didn't produce, but I'm involved in the process of showing the documentary to the world. It's called Mr. Nobody Against Putin. But I'm the main producer of a big movie in France now, and it's called Hero, and it's the life of a night watcher from the Louvre during the war who saved millions of art pieces in taking them to a truck and hiding them during 5 years and coming back after 5 years with all those pieces and asking to the direction if he can have his job of a night watcher back.
My final question, Serge, is you've been here for 35 years or so. Living among the Czechs. How would you describe the Czech people?
It's a small country who was isolated already by the languages, but I'm always so surprised. I'm traveling all over the world to meet Czech abroad, and that's not a description. But first of all, I want to say that they are traveling a lot. They are very good businessmen, especially in all technologies, doing cars or whatever, but they are creators of a lot of technology in different things, pumping things, and I'm always surprised to see, this is a Czech technology and things like that. They are good entrepreneurs, and they are educated people. They like about history of their country, history about Europe, even when I go to America, they're asking me, when I say I come to Prague, he said, yes, we know Yugoslavia is a nice country. That will never happen with Czech guy. They will not say that Washington is a nice Canadian place. So if I describe, that's my way to describe Czech people.
Many thanks indeed to Serge Borenstein for speaking to me for this edition of Prague Talk. And many apologies to you for the less than ideal quality of that recording. Suffice it to say, it won't happen again. In any case, if you're new to the pod and enjoyed our conversation, why not listen to more episodes and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. But for now, from me, Ian Willoughby, thank you so much for listening to Prague Talk, and talk to you again very soon.